What's good, people? It's your favourite white boy, Jay Fresh here, and I'm here with an immovable force in this UK scene.
Apparently so,
There's no apparently about it. Akala in the building. What's happening, family?
Well, go on, you good, yeah?
I'm really good.
Brother,
How are you feeling, bruv? You're in that seat, you're chilled, you got the cup of juice, things are good?
No, you know what, this is actually a coffee, fam, and I don't drink coffee too often, but I have not been sleeping well for the last few months, actually. And so the middle of the day comes. I had a bit of bout of insomnia the last few weeks. And I just get tired, like I want to sleep at this time. I think it's all the traveling. So I've been overseas quite a lot. I was in the States, then I was in Croatia. And earlier this year, I went to like so many places in a row that I feel like my body is not recovered. And so then if I don't drink this coffee, I'll fall asleep during the interview.
You have as many coffees,
So
as many refills as you need, brother.
I'm involved, yeah. A little bit of honey.
Exactly, keep you going. Now, we're here to talk about music.
We are indeed.
We're here to talk about longevity in the game.
Yep.
Over 10 years.
Well, it's 13 years since my first video,
years.
but yeah, 10 years since the first album. Yeah.
And we're here to talk about the 10 years LP.
Yep.
And the tour.
Yep.
Gassed.
Yeah, slightly.
Gassed, fully
Slightly. You're making me gas now. I was fine.
That's what I'm here to do.
You're gonna wake me up now, fam. Yeah.
Yes.
No, you know what? To be honest, I do feel like I was saying a sense of excitement and achievement. You know, I mean, even I was saying to someone before, you know, I did my first headline tour in Australia last year. I'm doing another one again this December.
Yep.
We're working on the first proper US tour. It's a new day. Like, the internet has changed everything in a sense, and you can see that now. UK rap can speak to the world without having to depend on MTV or Radio 1, you know, solely. There's some DJs at Radio 1 that really support us, Charlie Sloth, Mr. Jam, etc. Wasn't always like that. We can speak to the world. We've proven that, you know, as MCs, we can. There's a global appreciation for what we do. So it is a really exciting time to be a UK rapper, more exciting than any time before. And in some sense, I do feel bad though. Like, there was a generation of brilliant UK MCs, Kalashnikov, Skinny Man, loads of people in that era, Black Twang, etc. Who, listen, I'm not saying they didn't do well. They did for the time they were in. But if them men were 10 years younger, 15 years younger, and just coming out now with the same material, they could have spoke to the world in a way that just was not possible because of the technology 10 years ago.
This is a conversation that I have with artists, with DJs, with producers, the way you can network and talk to people, you can reach out, you can holler artists, you can connect. There's so many UK artists that have really blown the door wide open.
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
You know, so it's a crazy time, and it's a real positive time.
I mean, I got an email this morning. So my digital guy sends us emails all the time of where our songs are going in and out of whatever charts around the world. I'm number 3 in the download charts in Afghanistan.
Well, there we go. The fan base.
Do you know what I mean?
There.
Like,
have we got a tour date there?
How does that happen? Like, last week it was Hong Kong. A couple months ago it was Oman. That's the world we're in now, where you don't need the traditional major label daytime radio. That's useful, and that can make you Beyonce. If you can only be Beyonce with that major corporate backing.
Yeah.
But if that's not your aim, you can now, for probably the first time in history, very easily become a successful global artist with a little bit of work, a little bit of integrity, some good material, some good videos online, and next thing you know, you're touring the world. And for me, as an artist that was independent 10 years ago, and I feel like I was one of the first really to say, no, actually, we don't really need the labels, you know. If we control our own scene, we'll be in a better position. I do feel quite vindicated to now see 10 years later, some of the most successful UK rappers are still like, I don't know if I want to sign with a label. Because actually, I could just do it myself.
And it's good to have that choice.
And it's good to
have that choice.
Exactly.
So when we look back and we think 10 years since the Mobo.
Yes.
Is that a recent memory? Or does that really feel like 10 years ago?
You know what? It's mad. It feels like 20 years ago, and it feels like 2 years ago simultaneously. Do you know what I mean? Like, it feels like, because I was another person then as well. Like, I was a much younger person mentally. All the experiences, I mean, I've probably been to at least 50 countries in the last decade. I've left England probably 200 times. That changes you.
Of course.
And the things I've been exposed to, it's not like it's all been, a lot of it's been nice hotels and touring, but a lot of it's been, I went traveling in South America for 4 months. I went to South Africa. I've been to some real places. I just shot a documentary in Jamaica about reggae music. We was in the hood over there, obviously. We was in Trenchtown, you know, talking to artists and stuff. And it does make you reflect if your eyes are open. So I feel like 2006 feels more than 10 years ago. It feels like it was another lifetime.
And it's always good to look back, especially when there's a good mark point like this 10-year, the tour.
Yeah, million%.
But where do you see yourself in another 10 years?
It's funny, people often ask that. One of my main aims always has been, I'd like to build a school. I'm not big into the kind of privately owned, corporate run school thing. So I don't know how I would manage that if it's something I was financing myself or with other private financiers. But education to me is such a beautiful, positive and amazing thing if done correctly. But I feel like we're still in a world where education is really used to create robots to go and work in factories that in this country don't even exist anymore. So I'd really like to be part of developing a music-based, creative, social, spiritual, psychological education that focuses not just on producing better workers, but better human beings. When I went to school, no one told me how to manage my emotions. My mum had cancer when I was in secondary school, when I was in year 7. She was supposed to die. She didn't die. There was nothing in school for me to learn how to cope with that. No. There was nothing in school that taught me I had to go and do the shopping at Sainsbury's, at 11 years old. There was nothing in school that taught me that. I never learned how to grow food. There are basic life skills that I don't think school currently provides. So that's one major aim of mine that is as yet unrealized. But I'll continue to make music over the next 10 years, continue to write books. I published my first book in 2010, my second in 2014, which is a graphic novel called The Ruins of Empires. Continue to tour, perform, continue to speak out, continue to lecture. I feel like I'm on a journey that I'm happy with, and I would continue in that trajectory. But you also don't know what the future holds. Tomorrow's not promised. I think you've also got to seize the time and seize the moment, because I just found out 2 days ago, a brother that I know very well just dropped into a coma. Like, he went to work one day,
out of nowhere, there you go.
Bam, he's in a coma. He had a brain aneurysm or something of that nature, and you think, wow, like,
reality check.
Like, tomorrow really is not promised. So for all the young artists out there or people out there sitting down thinking, there's this thing I really want to do. I'd much rather be a writer than the current job I'm in. Or there's this person I really like, but I'm shook to tell her or him that I like them. You know what? Tomorrow really ain't promised, And I know that's so cliche, but sometimes things happen in life. There was a brother in the music industry, Richard Antwi, who I wasn't fantastically close to, but I knew him well enough. He was much closer to Rich and other people like that. But I knew Rich quite well. And then to hear that my man just dropped dead, I was like, and he was young, healthy. Like, last time I saw him was probably a few months before. He looked in great shape. You just think tomorrow really is not promised. So seize the time.
It's interesting you speak about the schooling angle, the education angle, because actually a few questions I was going to ask you, you've literally almost covered. They were going to be around the questions around the idea of, is there any education for upcoming musicians? Is there enough there to deal with the other side of the music industry? And again, what you mentioned about schooling, putting some building blocks in place. People from certain areas, certain backgrounds, whatever, might be able to relate to someone like yourself better than someone else.
1,000,000%.
Your own experience as well, some of which you've just outlined, feed into that, because there's other life situations people have to deal with.
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
Because one thing that's come up recently, and it's been kind of DJ focused, I don't know if you've seen it online, but it's interesting that the idea now that DJs with the poor diet, with the crazy hours, crazy touring, lack of sleep, isolation, because you're performing to thousands of people and going back to a hotel room on your own, if you're faithful to your wife, for example. But with all that, it's now becoming socially recognised that there is a downside to that. There is an illness. There is people who are suffering depression. As an artist yourself, you've been in the game for a long time, seen a lot of artists. Is that something you yourself have ever experienced or seen close hand? I
think that I personally... I'm not going to say I never feel down, because I do, but I wouldn't say go as far as to say I've suffered with depression. I've had moments that I've felt depressed, but I've seen what real depression looks like, so I wouldn't call my situation that. One of the reasons why I think I haven't had some of those more traumatic experiences is because very early I was aware of those problems and those downsides. I think diet does help. When you start to understand the medical nature of depression, when your liver is shot. So, for example, if you drink alcohol 4 days in a row, you emotionally by the end of the week you're a wreck.
And, and you can't achieve anything.
Right. I've had a lot of alcoholics in my family. Sadly, none of them were emotionally stable people. Right. So I think it's okay to have an adult conversation about how much we should drink, how much drugs people are doing, the lifestyle that comes with being an artist often, that is glorified often in the media and in the music documentaries,
and
but
the video,
right. But the downside of it is domestic abuse at home, is children that ain't really feeling their parents. If you're an alcoholic, there are many people out there who've probably had alcoholic parents. I was lucky I didn't have alcoholic parents, but I had alcoholic grandparents. And it didn't make me feel very close or very endeared to them, right? So there's the emotional downside of some of these things that I think need to be addressed, and it needs to be, it's kind of like when I used to play football. There isn't the apparatus in this country to help young footballers deal with the bad side of what comes with being an 18-year-old on 40 grand a week. No. It sounds absurd to think there's a downside to that, but there is. There's all these people who want to know you just because you've got money. There's all these people who want to sleep with you just because you've got money. There's the fact that you can buy anything you basically want. And a lot of them are not taught how to manage money. A lot of them are not taught how to manage fame. We think attention is always good. It isn't always good. When you leave your house and 5 million people want to chat to you, if you're not a confident person or an outgoing person, and you just want a quiet moment and you're being hassled, all of that, I think, is something that really needs to be dialogued about more.
And it really does affect you. And what you mentioned there about football is, again, another conversation. I swear you're really listening into my conversations.
Maybe.
Another conversation I've had with someone else about that. Yeah. Now that has manifested itself as a situation. Yeah. Young, talented people suddenly with a lot of money, because football, I'm a big football fan. It's gone crazy with the recent TV deals. Yeah.
I was at schoolboy at West Ham for 5 years.
There's now a situation someone finds themselves in, and I don't know what to do.
And a lot of them are depressed. I'm telling you firsthand, like, because I used to kickball. Yes, they've got loads of money, but it may sound so cliche, but money really is not everything. If you've not been taught to work on yourself, if you've not been taught emotional and physical discipline and all of those things, money's only going to amplify the problems that you already have. And I think that the fact that most athletes, not just footballers, basketball players in America, NFL players, most of them go broke within 5 to 7 years anyway, because they're never taught how to manage money. Where do all the friends go when you lose your money, right?
You can say that about a lot of people, though.
No, and I think there is a real downside to success that people don't talk about. And I think it would be much healthier if artists were given training and were open about some of these things. And the music industry, let's be clear, just like the football industry, the music industry doesn't care about you as a human being. This is one of the other reasons I didn't want to sign with a big label. You're just a product to them. Yeah. If you get shot or stabbed, right, like 50 said, these industry dudes ain't friends, they know how to pretend. It's true. If something bad happens to you as a music artist or as a rapper, your label ain't going to be there for you. Your label ain't going to be in court for you. Your label ain't going to be on the roads helping you out. They're not going to come and chat to your mum. Or they're not your brethrens. You're just a product.
It's work.
And to me, the companies we've tried to start and the people we work with, we've tried to be more like a family. Yes, it's still business, but I want to know how the people that work with us are feeling and what's going on at home and all that, because I know that a lot of the boys I grew up with, who were the best footballers I saw, and I played with Jermaine Defoe, I played with Glenn Johnson, I played with Joe Cole, some of the best players I knew growing up didn't make it simply because they didn't have the family support and structure, and there was no emotional backup for them. But anyway, that's another conversation for another day.
We unfortunately, as soon as I got given my slot for this, I was like, I wish it was 4 or 5 times bigger. I wish I had more time. We could sit here all afternoon, drink more coffee, and we could really go in depth, but it's all good.
It's all good.
Let's bring it back to music. I believe you've got a 3,000 date tour on the way in the
it's
UK.
A mad thing, brothers. It's 27 dates in 32 days. So it's my most intensive and longest UK tour. It's very, very, very intensive. But I love it. I mean, the London show, last time I checked, there was like 10 tickets left, so that'll be sold out by whenever this goes out. It's at Coco. So if you want to come to another show, come to, you know, one of the others across the UK. Really looking forward to it. I love touring. We pride ourselves on the fact that the live show is good. So let me just give some artists, young artists out there, particularly rappers, tips. Performing to an MP3 in the 21st century is not acceptable. Don't go to a live gig with an MP3. This is what you do. You take the stems of your tracks, and you master them separately. It costs a little bit of money, but it means that your music bangs when you go live. You run it from a session. This is one of the ways we do it. Obviously, we've got a drummer and a DJ as well. And there's mashups and there's like 40 songs in a 90-minute set. But I think one of the things there's visuals for the whole tour. One of the things I've prided myself on, working with LeVar, who's my longtime engineer and really someone who's helped me co-create a live experience, is we've prided ourselves on doing a production that is the next level up from the venues we're playing in. So if we're playing at Coco, we're giving you the type of show you'd expect to see at Shepherd's Bush or Brixton Academy.
So it really
in terms of production. Really but even when we're playing a venue of 200 cap, there's visuals for the whole show. You're not usually seeing a visual show in a venue with 250 people in there. So even on the smaller dates, we're taking that with us, because I believe there's value in every time someone comes to see you live, them having a great experience. And I believe I've proven that. This is my 10th tour in 10 years. Every year we continue to viably tour because I care about what we present to the people.
Well, me, for one, I'm gassed about it. I live on the south coast of the UK, so I've seen the Portsmouth date.
Yes,
I've seen the Southampton date.
Come through,
so
man.
Close,
Come through,
man's going to come through.
Yeah, come through.
And listen, we'll have to chop it up again because I realise we are running out of time. It's been great to link you, brother.
Pleasure.
I'm excited about the LP.
Yes.
I'm excited about the new single.
I look forward to it.
And the tour as well.
Yes, big up. Thank you very much.